The Galactic Research Station orbited a distant neutron star, its crystalline structures reflecting pinpoints of stellar radiation against the absolute darkness of space. Inside the central research chamber, advanced holographic displays flickered with a soft blue light, creating an ethereal atmosphere that contrasted sharply with the tension building between the alien researcher and her human subject. Dr. Zara Ax represented the pinnacle of the Chromaxian scientific community, a species renowned for their advanced medical knowledge and interstellar research capabilities. Her body was a marvel of biological engineering. 4 independently moving tentacle-like appendages that served as both arms and sensory organs, covered in iridescent scales that shifted color based on emotional and physiological responses. Each scale contained microscopic sensory nodes that could detect the most minute changes in biological systems. Today's subject was nothing more than a routine examination. At least, that's what Zara Ax believed when she first reviewed the preliminary documentation about human physiological characteristics. Centuries of interstellar medical research had painted humans as a relatively unremarkable species, fragile, limited, with biological systems that seemed almost primitive compared to the more advanced races of the galactic community. The human researcher, Dr. Emily Rodriguez, sat perfectly still in the examination chair. Unlike the elaborate biological modifications typical of most interstellar species, she appeared deceptively simple. Her body showed no obvious augmentations, no advanced cybernetic interfaces, no genetic restructuring. To the untrained eye, she looked entirely ordinary. Zara Ax's primary sensory tentacle twitched with a mixture of professional disinterest and barely concealed contempt. Humans had been part of the interstellar community for barely 3 standard galactic centuries, a mere blink in the vast timeline of advanced civilizations. Their technological achievements were considered rudimentary, their biological capabilities marginal at best. Preliminary scan initiating, announced the station's artificial intelligence in multiple linguistic frequencies, its voice translating simultaneously for both the Chromaxian researcher and the human subject. A complex web of energy beams began to map every microscopic detail of Dr. Rodriguez's body. Holographic representations materialized around her, breaking down her physiological composition into intricate 3-dimensional models. Zara Ax watched with the practiced eye of a senior medical researcher, expecting nothing more than another confirmation of human biological limitations. The research station represented the pinnacle of scientific investigation. Constructed at the intersection of 3 galactic territories, it served as a neutral ground for comprehensive biological studies. Species from across known space would send their most promising subjects to undergo exhaustive examinations, contributing to the vast database of interstellar biological understanding. Dr. Rodriguez remained calm, her breathing steady, her posture relaxed. Most test subjects showed some level of anxiety, a natural response to the invasive scanning procedures, but she exhibited an unusual sense of composure that intrigued Zara Ax, though the alien researcher quickly dismissed it as insignificant. Subject physiological baseline. The AI continued, preliminary data compilation in progress. Zara Ax reviewed the initial readouts, her scaled appendages moving with practiced efficiency across the holographic interface. Each movement was precise, each gesture a testament to generations of refined scientific methodology. She expected the usual human markers: moderate cellular regeneration rates, limited environmental adaptability, predictable genetic structures. What she did not expect was the first hint of something unusual. A microscopic anomaly flickered across one of the secondary displays. So small, so insignificant that most researchers would have overlooked it entirely. But Zara Ax had built her reputation on noticing the details others missed. Her sensory tentacles vibrated with a mixture of professional curiosity and the first tremor of something that might challenge her established understanding. Humans, perpetually underestimated, had a history of surprising more advanced civilizations. But surely this would be nothing more than another mundane scientific examination. Little did Dr. Zara Ax know that this routine investigation was about to challenge everything She thought she understood about biological potential. The examination had only just begun. The research chamber hummed with sophisticated technology, its walls lined with adaptive holographic displays that shifted and recalibrated in real time. Dr. Zorax's research team consisted of 6 alien scientists from 3 different star systems, each chosen for their expertise in comparative technobiology. Dr. Krell, a crystalline-based life form from the Proxima cluster, leaned forward with multiple light-refracting eyes focused on the initial cellular scans. His body resembled a living prism, each movement creating miniature rainbows of refracted light. "Typical human cellular structure," he muttered, his voice a series of musical clicks translated by the station's communication systems. Beside him, Dr. Volax, a gaseous entity contained within a sophisticated environmental suit, produced a sound that translated to academic dismissiveness. "Redundant biological systems," the entity commented, tendrils of translucent matter swirling with apparent boredom. "Observe the unnecessary genetic complexity. It's almost as if their cellular structure lacks any coherent design strategy." The holographic displays continued to rotate, showing Dr. Emily Rodriguez's cellular composition from multiple angles. What appeared chaotic to the alien researchers told a different story to those willing to look deeper. Microscopic views revealed intricate cellular networks that defied simple categorization. Where most species had streamlined genetic structures, human cells displayed an almost fractal-like complexity. Redundant genetic markers that seemed unnecessary at first glance actually suggested an incredibly sophisticated adaptive mechanism. Dr. Rodriguez remained silent, her expression betraying nothing. She understood something the alien researchers did not, that complexity often masked profound potential. The station's artificial intelligence began compiling comparative data, pulling information from millions of species studied over millennia of galactic research. Lines of genetic code scrolled past, creating elaborate patterns that most biological entities would find incomprehensible. "Initial anomaly detected in cellular regeneration protocols," the AI announced, its voice carefully modulated to convey pure scientific neutrality. Dr. Zorax's tentacles twitched. Anomalies were not welcome in her meticulously organized research environment. Every scientific investigation demanded predictability, structured understanding. This human subject was already presenting unexpected variables. The first detailed imaging revealed cellular structures that seemed to communicate in patterns unlike any previously documented species. Genetic markers danced and shifted, creating a dynamic network that appeared almost intelligent. Dr. Krell adjusted his spectral analysis equipment. "These cellular communication patterns," he muttered, "they're not random. There's an underlying logic that we're not immediately comprehending." Volax's gaseous form condensed slightly, a sign of increasing scientific interest. Unusual protein folding detected, the researcher noted. Adaptive potential beyond standard parametric models. Each scan revealed another layer of complexity. What the alien researchers saw as chaos was actually an incredibly sophisticated biological system. Cellular membranes displayed micro-adaptations that could respond to environmental changes with remarkable speed. Genetic markers that seemed redundant were actually sophisticated backup and repair mechanisms. The research team had categorized humans as a young, relatively unsophisticated species. Their technological achievements were considered moderate, their biological capabilities unremarkable. But these initial scans suggested something far more intriguing was happening at the cellular level. Dr. Rodriguez remained perfectly still, her breathing steady, her body a living testament to the complexity hidden beneath seemingly simple biological structures. She knew what the researchers were seeing, what they were struggling to understand. "Comparative analysis complete," the AI announced. "Preliminary findings suggest significant deviation from expected physiological models." Dr. Zorax felt the first tremor of professional uncertainty. In centuries of medical research, she had seen countless species, catalogued millions of biological variations. But this human subject was presenting something truly unprecedented. The examination had only just begun, and already the research team found themselves questioning everything they thought they knew about biological potential. The universe, once again, was preparing to reveal that understanding was a journey of constant discovery. The simulation chamber transformed into a living nightmare of scientific exploration. Specialized environmental generators could recreate the most extreme conditions found across known space, environments that would destroy most biological entities within moments of exposure. Dr. Zara Axe adjusted the primary control interface, her tentacles moving with practiced precision. The chamber's transparent walls shimmered with adaptive molecular shielding, allowing the research team to observe without direct exposure to the extreme conditions being generated. Initiating first environmental stress test, announced the station's artificial intelligence. Its voice carried a clinical detachment that belied the extraordinary nature of the upcoming experiment. The first simulation recreated the radiation-saturated atmosphere of the Crimson Nebula. Stellar radiation levels began to climb, quickly reaching intensities that would reduce most organic matter to basic atomic components. Geiger counters and radiation sensors lit up with intense warning signals, their displays moving into ranges that typically signaled imminent biological destruction. Dr. Krell leaned forward, his crystalline body refracting the intense light into a kaleidoscope of colors. Radiation levels now exceed 500 sieverts per hour, he commented, his voice a mixture of professional curiosity and scientific skepticism. Standard biological entities would be completely ionized within 3 minutes. Dr. Emily Rodriguez sat perfectly still within the chamber. Her body showed no immediate signs of stress, no cellular breakdown, no radiation-induced mutations that would typically trigger catastrophic biological failure. The research team watched in growing disbelief. Minutes passed. Then 10 minutes. The radiation levels continued to climb, reaching intensities that should have been immediately fatal to any known living organism. Yet Dr. Rodriguez remained unchanged, her cellular structure seemingly unaffected by conditions that would obliterate most life forms. "Impossible," muttered Dr. Volax, the gaseous researcher's environmental suit fluctuating with increasing agitation. "No biological system can withstand these radiation levels." But the data told a different story. Microscopic cellular scanners revealed an extraordinary phenomenon. Instead of breaking down, the human subject cells were actively adapting. Genetic repair mechanisms were working at speeds that defied current scientific understanding. Radiation-damaged cellular components were being rapidly identified, isolated, and reconstructed with a precision that bordered on the miraculous. The simulation shifted. Temperatures began to plummet, dropping to levels that approached absolute zero. Most biological systems would instantly crystallize, cellular structures shattering like fragile glass. The chamber's walls began to accumulate layers of extreme cold, molecular structures contracting under the intense thermal stress. Dr. Zara Axe's primary sensory tentacle vibrated with a mixture of professional excitement and growing scientific uncertainty. Everything she understood about biological limitations was being challenged in real time. 3 hours into the combined radiation and extreme temperature simulation, Dr. Rodriguez showed no signs of physiological stress. Her cellular structure continued to adapt, repair, and maintain structural integrity under conditions that should have been completely impossible. Cellular adaptation rate unprecedented, the AI reported. Repair mechanisms functioning at 99.997% efficiency. The research team exchanged glances of increasing amazement. What had begun as a routine examination was transforming into a landmark scientific discovery. Dr. Krell's crystalline body shifted color, a biological response indicating extreme scientific excitement. "The cellular communication networks," he muttered, "they're not just responding to stress. They're learning from it." The final phase of the environmental challenge pushed beyond known physiological limits. Pressure variations that would crush most biological entities, temperature fluctuations that would cause instantaneous molecular breakdown, radiation levels that should erase any possibility of organic survival. Dr. Rodriguez endured them all. As the simulation concluded, The research team found themselves confronting a fundamental challenge to their understanding of biological potential. Humans, a species they had consistently underestimated, were proving to be something entirely unexpected. Dr. Zara Axe realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. This was more than just a scientific examination. This was a revelation about the nature of life itself. The universe, it seemed, was far more complex than anyone had imagined. The genetic analysis chamber represented the pinnacle of interstellar scientific technology. Quantum-level scanners capable of mapping the most intricate molecular structures hummed with sophisticated energy, their complex arrays of light and electromagnetic fields, creating an almost artistic display of scientific precision. Dr. Zara Axe positioned herself at the primary analysis interface, her tentacles moving with practiced efficiency across holographic displays that stretched from floor to ceiling. Surrounding her, the research team assembled their most advanced genetic mapping equipment, each researcher bringing specialized instruments from their respective homeworlds. Initiating comprehensive genetic sequence analysis, the station's artificial intelligence announced. Its voice carried a carefully modulated tone of scientific neutrality. The first layer of genetic mapping revealed something immediately perplexing. Where most species displayed relatively straightforward genetic structures, Dr. Emily Rodriguez's genetic code resembled an incredibly complex adaptive network. What the alien researchers had initially dismissed as unnecessary genetic complexity now appeared to be something far more sophisticated. Dr. Krell, the crystalline researcher, adjusted his spectral analysis equipment. Waves of refracted light danced around his prismatic body as he examined the genetic data. "These genetic markers," he muttered, "they're not just passive. They're dynamically interactive." Genetic sequences that seemed random at first glance began to reveal an intricate pattern. Each seemingly redundant genetic section was actually part of an incredibly complex communication network. The human genome operated more like a living, adaptive system than a static blueprint. "Observe the molecular communication pathways," Dr. Volax commented, "tendrils of gaseous matter coalescing around the holographic displays. It's as if each genetic segment is continuously negotiating with the others." The most startling discovery emerged in the non-coding regions of the genetic sequence. What other species typically considered junk DNA was actually a sophisticated information storage and adaptive mechanism. These genetic sections could rapidly reconfigure themselves in response to environmental challenges, creating temporary genetic variations that could be quickly integrated or discarded. Dr. Rodriguez sat perfectly still, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the growing excitement of the research team. She understood something the alien researchers were just beginning to comprehend: that human biology was far more dynamic than anyone had previously imagined. Advanced molecular scanners revealed layers of genetic complexity that defied current scientific understanding. Genetic repair mechanisms worked with an efficiency that seemed almost intelligent. When cellular damage occurred, these mechanisms didn't just repair. They learned, adapted, and improved future defensive capabilities. Genetic adaptation rate exponential, the AI reported. Molecular communication networks displaying unprecedented complexity. The research team found themselves confronting a fundamental challenge to their understanding of genetic potential. Humans had always been considered a young, relatively unsophisticated species, but these genetic findings suggested something far more profound was happening at the molecular level. Dr. Zara Axe felt a tremor of professional excitement and uncertainty. In centuries of interstellar research, she had catalogued the genetic structures of thousands of species, but this human subject was presenting something truly unprecedented. The genetic analysis continued, each new layer of investigation revealing more questions than answers. Genetic markers that seemed to serve no immediate purpose were actually part of an incredibly sophisticated adaptive system. The human genome was not just a blueprint for life, it was a dynamic, living network of potential. Comparative genetic analysis complete, the AI announced. Findings suggest significant deviation from all previously documented genetic models. Dr. Krell's crystalline body shifted colors, a biological response indicating extreme scientific excitement. "These genetic communication networks," he muttered, "they're not just responding to environmental challenges. They're anticipating them." As the research team delved deeper, they'd realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. The human genetic structure was more than just a biological mechanism. It was a living, adaptive system of unprecedented complexity. The universe, once again, was preparing to reveal that understanding was a journey of constant discovery. And humanity, it seemed, was far more remarkable than anyone had ever imagined. The immunology laboratory represented the most secure research environment in the entire scientific station. Molecular barriers, quantum-level containment fields, and multi-layered protective systems created an impenetrable fortress designed to study the most dangerous pathogens in known space. Dr. Zara Axe carefully prepared the first series of test organisms, engineered pathogens that had decimated entire civilizations. Each microscopic entity was a testament to the most advanced biological warfare research conducted across multiple star systems. These were not simple viruses or bacteria, but complex molecular machines designed to penetrate and destroy biological defenses. Initiating pathogen exposure sequence, the station's artificial intelligence announced, its voice carefully modulated to convey scientific precision. Dr. Emily Rodriguez sat behind a molecular barrier, her calm demeanor unchanged as the first wave of engineered pathogens was introduced to her biological system. The research team watched through multiple layers of advanced scanning equipment, each researcher representing a different approach to biological understanding. Dr. Krell, the crystalline researcher, adjusted his spectral analysis equipment. Waves of light danced around his prismatic body as he focused on the cellular interactions. Beside him, Dr. Volax, a gaseous entity contained within a sophisticated environmental suit, monitored molecular-level interactions with multiple sensory appendages. The first pathogen group represented a nightmare of molecular engineering. Developed by the Centauri Research Collective, these microscopic organisms could typically penetrate and destroy the immune systems of 97% of known biological entities within moments of contact. They were designed to break down cellular structures, overwhelming biological defenses through sheer molecular aggression. Nothing happened. Minutes passed. The pathogens encountered Dr. Rodriguez's immune system and seemed to pause. Instead of overwhelming the biological defenses, they appeared to be carefully examined, analyzed, cataloged. Unexpected immune response detected, the AI reported. Pathogen interaction differs from all previous documented models. Dr. Zara Axe leaned forward, her tentacles vibrating with scientific intensity. The holographic displays showed something unprecedented. The human immune system was not just defending against the pathogens. It was studying them, learning from them, developing sophisticated counter-strategies in real time. The second wave of pathogens was even more complex. These were molecular constructs that could adapt their own structure, designed to overcome the most sophisticated biological defenses. They had decimated entire planetary populations, rendering entire species extinct within standard galactic months. Dr. Rodriguez's immune system treated them like an intellectual challenge. Microscopic scanners revealed an extraordinary process. Instead of simply destroying the pathogens, her immune cells were creating detailed molecular maps of their structure. Each interaction was not just a defensive reaction, but a learning experience. The immune system was developing a comprehensive understanding of the molecular threat. Immune response efficiency at 99.998%. The AI announced. Molecular adaptation rate unprecedented. Dr. Krell's crystalline body shifted colors, a biological response indicating extreme scientific excitement. "It's not just defending," he muttered. "It's comprehending. The immune system is treating these pathogens like a complex puzzle to be solved." The final series of pathogens represented the most advanced biological weapons in known space. Molecular constructs so complex that they could theoretically adapt to any known biological defense mechanism. They had been the ultimate weapon, the pinnacle of destructive biological engineering. Dr. Rodriguez's immune system processed them like an advanced learning algorithm. As the research concluded, the team found themselves confronting a fundamental challenge to their understanding of biological defense. The human immune system was not just a defensive mechanism. It was an incredibly sophisticated, adaptive intelligence that could learn, evolve, and overcome challenges with unprecedented efficiency. Dr. Zara-Ax realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. This was more than just a scientific examination. This was a revelation about the nature of biological adaptation. The universe, it seemed, had been hiding a remarkable secret in the most unexpected place. The Central Research Conference Chamber hummed with anticipation. Representatives from 12 different galactic scientific institutions had gathered to hear the preliminary findings of what was quickly becoming the most significant biological research project in recent history. Dr. Zara-Ax stood at the primary holographic projection platform, her tentacles carefully arranged to convey professional composure. Behind her, a complex three-dimensional model of Dr. Emily Rodriguez's biological systems rotated slowly, revealing layers of complexity that challenged everything the scientific community thought they understood about human physiology. Comprehensive research compilation initiated, the station's artificial intelligence announced, its voice cutting through the low murmur of scientific speculation. The holographic displays came alive with a cascade of data, cellular maps, genetic sequences, immunological responses, and environmental adaptation metrics formed an intricate tapestry of biological information. Each layer revealed something more extraordinary than the last. Dr. Krell, the crystalline researcher, had prepared a preliminary analysis that would shake the foundations of galactic biological understanding. His prismatic body reflected the holographic light, creating a mesmerizing display that mirrored the complexity of the data being presented. Our initial hypothesis, Dr. Zara-Ax began, her voice translated simultaneously for the diverse audience, was that humans represented a relatively unremarkable biological entity. What we have discovered is nothing short of revolutionary. The first projection showed the human subject's cellular regeneration capabilities, where most species would require extensive medical intervention to recover from severe cellular damage. Dr. Rodriguez's body demonstrated a self-repair mechanism that bordered on the miraculous. Damaged cells were not just repaired. They were comprehensively rebuilt, with each reconstruction incorporating learned defensive mechanisms. Observe the adaptive cellular network, Dr. Krell interjected. Multiple holographic layers peeled back to reveal microscopic communication pathways. These are not simple repair mechanisms. This is an intelligent biological system that learns and evolves with each challenge. The genetic analysis projection told an even more remarkable story. What had previously been dismissed as junk DNA was actually a sophisticated information storage and adaptation system. Genetic markers could rapidly reconfigure, creating temporary variations that could be integrated or discarded based on environmental challenges. Dr. Volax, the gaseous researcher, presented the immunological findings. Holographic representations of engineered pathogens danced around molecular maps of the human immune response. Traditional biological defense systems eliminate threats, the researcher explained. The human immune system does something far more sophisticated. It comprehends them. The environmental challenge data was perhaps the most stunning revelation. Radiation levels, temperature extremes, pressure variations, conditions that would obliterate most known biological entities, had been not just survived, but processed and adapted to with remarkable efficiency. Efficiency rates exceed 99.9% across all tested parameters, the AI reported. The scientific audience shifted uncomfortably. Such numbers were statistically impossible according to established biological models. Dr. Zara-Ax felt the weight of the moment. Years of research, entire academic careers built on understanding biological limitations, were being fundamentally challenged. The human subject represented something entirely unexpected, a biological system of such complexity and adaptability that it defied current scientific understanding. We are looking at a fundamental reimagining of biological potential, she concluded. Humans are not just another species in the galactic ecosystem. They represent a paradigm shift in our understanding of life itself. The chamber fell silent. Holographic displays continued to rotate, revealing layer after layer of biological complexity. Dr. Emily Rodriguez sat quietly, a living testament to the extraordinary potential hidden within what had been considered an unremarkable species. The universe, it seemed, had been keeping a remarkable secret, and humanity was just beginning to reveal its true potential. As the presentation concluded, one thing became abundantly clear. Everything they thought they knew about biological life was about to change. The aftermath of the research presentation reverberated through the scientific community like a quantum shockwave. Decades of established biological understanding crumbled in the face of unprecedented discoveries about human physiological potential. Dr. Zara Axe found herself at the center of a scientific storm that threatened to dismantle her entire professional reputation. Her meticulously built career, years of research, countless published papers, and a reputation for rigorous scientific methodology, now balanced on the razor's edge of this extraordinary revelation. The Galactic Scientific Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from 12 different star systems gathered in a massive holographic conference chamber, their collective consciousness attempting to process the implications of the human biological study. These findings challenge fundamental principles of comparative xenobiology, declared the Proximan research director, his crystalline form flickering with agitation. Holographic displays rotated around him, showcasing the most controversial aspects of the human biological research. Dr. Zara Axe stood before the council, her tentacles carefully controlled to mask her inner turmoil. She understood that this presentation would either elevate her to scientific legendary status or completely destroy her professional credibility. The primary critique came from the most conservative elements of the scientific community. Decades of research had categorized humans as a relatively unremarkable species, technologically developing, but biologically limited. This new research threatened to upend everything they thought they understood about biological potential. Dr. Krell presented supplementary data, his prismatic body casting intricate light patterns across the conference chamber. Each projection revealed another layer of human biological complexity. Cellular communication networks that functioned like advanced learning systems. Genetic markers that could adapt and reconfigure with unprecedented speed. Immune responses that processed information like living intelligence. We are not talking about incremental scientific discovery, Dr. Krell emphasized. We are witnessing a fundamental reimagining of biological potential. The political implications were equally profound. If humans possessed such extraordinary biological capabilities, how would this change interstellar dynamics? Species that had long considered themselves technologically and biologically superior now faced a humbling realization. Dr. Volax, the gaseous researcher, presented the immunological findings that had caused the most controversy. Engineered pathogens that had decimated entire civilizations had been completely neutralized by the human subject's immune system. Not just destroyed, comprehended, analyzed, and effectively rendered harmless. This is more than a medical breakthrough. Volax's translated communication indicated. This is a complete reconstruction of our understanding of adaptive biological systems. The research team found themselves defending every aspect of their methodology. Multiple independent verification teams had been brought in, each confirming the original findings. Video recordings, molecular scans, comprehensive data sets, all pointed to the same extraordinary conclusion. Dr. Emily Rodriguez remained the calm center of this scientific hurricane. She understood something the researchers were still grappling with, that human potential was far more complex than anyone had imagined. The Galactic Scientific Council demanded additional testing. More subjects would be examined. Comprehensive studies would be conducted across multiple research stations. The initial findings were too extraordinary to be accepted based on a single subject. For Dr. Zara Axe, the professional stakes could not be higher. Years of research, her entire academic reputation, balanced on the credibility of these findings. If proven correct, She would be remembered as the researcher who fundamentally changed understanding of biological potential. If proven incorrect, she would become a cautionary tale of scientific overreach. "We are not claiming superiority," Dr. Zara Axe told the council. "We are presenting data. Pure, verifiable scientific observation." The holographic displays continued to rotate, revealing layer after layer of biological complexity. Cellular networks that communicated like intelligent systems, genetic markers that could reconfigure themselves with unprecedented speed, an immune response that processed information with remarkable efficiency. As the emergency session concluded, one thing became clear. Humanity had just been recognized as something far more extraordinary than anyone had ever imagined. The universe, it seemed, was about to be rewritten. 6 standard galactic cycles after the initial presentation, the scientific community found itself in the midst of a profound transformation. What had begun as a routine biological examination had evolved into a fundamental reimagining of life itself. The research station that had been the epicenter of the discovery now served as a global center for advanced biological studies. Researchers from hundreds of different species converged to understand the extraordinary biological potential discovered in human physiology. Dr. Emily Rodriguez had become more than just a research subject. She was now a bridge between humanity and the broader galactic scientific community, a living testament to the unexpected depths of biological potential. Dr. Zara Axe stood at the observation deck, her tentacles moving with a mixture of professional pride and scientific humility. The initial research had changed everything. Entire fields of biological understanding were being rewritten, reconstructed, reimagined. The most profound discoveries went far beyond simple cellular mechanics. Humans had demonstrated a biological adaptability that challenged fundamental principles of evolutionary development. Their cellular systems operated more like intelligent networks than traditional biological mechanisms. Each challenge was not just met, it was comprehended, learned from, integrated. "We are witnessing the emergence of a new understanding of life," Dr. Krell proclaimed during a landmark interstellar conference. His prismatic body reflected the holographic displays that showed layer after layer of human biological complexity. The implications stretched far beyond medical science. Diplomatic relations between human representatives and galactic governing bodies underwent a complete transformation. Species that had long viewed humans as a marginal, developing civilization now approached them with a mixture of respect and cautious curiosity. Dr. Volax presented a comprehensive analysis of the broader implications. The human biological system was not just a defensive mechanism. It was a living, learning entity. Cellular communication networks that functioned with an intelligence that bordered on the miraculous. Genetic markers that could reconfigure themselves with unprecedented speed and precision. Research stations across multiple star systems began comprehensive studies. More human subjects were examined, each revealing new layers of biological complexity. What had initially seemed like an extraordinary outlier was proving to be a fundamental characteristic of human physiology. The station's artificial intelligence compiled comprehensive datasets, radiation resistance that defied established models, immune responses that could neutralize the most advanced engineered pathogens, cellular regeneration capabilities that approached the realm of scientific fantasy. Dr. Rodriguez remained the calm center of this scientific revolution. She understood something the researchers were still discovering, that human potential was not about superiority, but about adaptability. The ability to learn, to grow, to transform in the face of unprecedented challenges. Philosophical debates erupted across multiple academic disciplines. What did this discovery mean for understanding of life itself? Were humans an evolutionary anomaly, or did they represent a broader potential that had been overlooked in previous scientific models? The Galactic Scientific Council established a permanent research initiative. Dedicated facilities would continue to explore the extraordinary biological capabilities demonstrated by human subjects. Every new discovery seemed to open more questions than answers. "We are not at the end of our understanding," Dr. Zara Axe told a gathering of senior researchers. We are at the beginning of a new chapter of scientific exploration. Diplomatic missions began to reassess human potential. Species that had previously viewed humans as a developing civilization now approached them with genuine scientific curiosity. The balance of interstellar understanding was shifting. Dr. Krell's analysis suggested that human biological potential represented more than just a scientific curiosity. It was a fundamental reimagining of adaptive biological systems, cellular networks that could learn, genetic structures that could reconfigure themselves, an immune system that processed information like a living intelligence. As the research continued, one profound truth became increasingly clear. Humanity had been dramatically underestimated, not through any deliberate oversight, but through a fundamental limitation in scientific understanding. The universe, it seemed, had been keeping a remarkable secret, and humanity was just beginning to reveal its true potential. In research stations, diplomatic chambers, and scientific conferences across multiple star systems, one question continued to resonate. What else might humans be capable of discovering?